We would like to introduce the Young, Proud, and Sungjee team. Young, Proud, and Sungjee is a children's book on fighting anti-Asian racism during COVID-19. The purpose of the book is to provide an educational resource to help generate meaningful discussions between adults and children about anti-Asian racism. They have also been able to translate their book into many languages so that it can be shared to a wide range of people. Thank you to the Young, Proud, and Sungjee team, and we hope you enjoy.
Hi, everyone. My name is Emily. I'm a current master's student at the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor.
Hi, everyone. So great to meet you. My name is Joyce Lee. I'm a PhD candidate in the University of Michigan School of Social Work. I study both social work and developmental psychology.
Hi, everyone. My name is Maggie Chen, and I am a social worker and an artist. So as a social worker, I have the privilege of working as a social work supervisor and a mental health therapist specializing in trauma, and then lots of art projects on the side.
As an Asian American, Korean American specifically, I was born and raised in Southern California, growing up mostly in the suburbs of LA called Diamond Bar, California. I will really say that my Korean American identity is extremely important to me. It really serves as like my foundation for the work that I do as a social work professional, and also in my personal life as well.
Yeah, I also identify as Korean American. I'm a first generation US citizen in my family. My parents immigrated to the US in the early 1980s. I was born and raised in Davis, California. Spent a little bit of time in South Korea as well. But yeah, my identity as a Korean American is huge too. It informs my preferences for food, language, and even parenting. It's just a huge part of who I am that influences everything that I do, basically.
So I identify as being Taiwanese American, and just like Joyce and Emily, my identity is super important to me. I often reflect on what it was like for my parents to emigrate from Taiwan in the 1980s, and just what it's like to move through life as someone in the Asian American and Pacific Islander community.
As for personally, I think COVID has really, deeply impacted the way in which, I took my, more pride in my identity as an Asian American. While it did anger and hurt me to hear like so much misinformation and misnomers from people, it really gave me that fire, like a new fire, to fight for and care for our community even more. As for the work as a team here with Young, Proud, and Sungjee, it was literally created, following the pandemic or during the pandemic too. And in terms of the community, something that I thought about, I personally think about the elders in the community that I'm with, how they're deeply impacted. Isolation is such a huge issue, even pre-pandemic. So I've really seen it being exacerbated, and how that's impacted some of those community members.
Was this book created? What was the thought process behind making this book? So basically, the motivation behind Young, Proud, and Sungjee was to really encourage, support, and lift up our Asian American and Pacific Islander communities during COVID-19. Specifically, it was designed with API children, parents, and caregivers in mind, to give context and language around how to make sense of and cope with the many wrongdoings, namely racism and xenophobia and violence, specifically targeting API individuals right now. So that's been a huge motivating factor, that we wanted to provide a resource to our community.
We're all social workers, and a lot of times we talk about this ripple effect. So when one person does an action, it spreads out to so many more people in the community that then continue this like awesome work. So I think it's pretty amazing, like in our story that we all worked on together, Sungjee, as a Korean American, learns more about her identity and how to stand up for others, and helps her friend Jenny out. So she's kind of spreading this work of resilience and leadership to help the community heal as well.
On the recent current surge of anti-Asian hate crimes and xenophobia, have you been impacted personally? And I'm happy to also speak on behalf of the group here. We think what's happening is atrocious, sad, heartbreaking, and wrong. Uh, but we also know that the scapegoating of API communities is nothing new. We've been talking about history, especially Asian American history, and trying to understand what's happening in the context of what's occurred to so many Asian individuals and communities in the past. Basically, it's nothing new. We've been here before, and just to name a few incidents that I've learned about recently, the largest mass lynching happened in 1871 in LA of Chinese people. I'm also recalling the Chinese Exclusion Act of 1882, the interning of Japanese Americans, and more recently Vincent Chen in 1982. These are all things that point to the fact that we've been here before, that this isn't anything new, that we need to think about how do we break this cycle, how do we really move forward as a country, and break the systemic injustice and racism towards Asians. To that point, I'm also reminded to promote and lift up solidarity building and coalition building between Asians and Black Americans. Our struggles are deeply connected, and we have a really good track record of working together too, so we can build on that and really tackle white supremacy and racism in this country.
So I guess just a quick message to the API social work community. Remember that we're not alone. We can do it. So let's not be silent. We cannot be silent, and we can fight this fight together. It is possible. And I'll just end on this quote here from Grace Lee Boggs, who's a social activist. You cannot change any society unless you take responsibility for it, unless you see yourself as belonging to it and responsible for changing it.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, everyone.